Hi, it's Ramesha here with Vocal Bliss. Welcome. In this video, I'd like to talk about vocal registers, what they are, what it means to transition from one register to another, why it's important, and I'm also going to explain how to do it. But before we dive into it, as usual, I'd like to suggest that you subscribe to my channel so you won't miss my future videos. If you've done any singing at all, you've probably noticed that as you sing, you reach a certain point where in order to go higher, to sing higher notes, you probably need to push your voice more and more because it's getting harder and harder to get those notes out. And you go higher, and if you don't push, your voice will probably break and you won't be able to sing those higher notes. Right? Does that sound familiar? This happens because the voice has reached the end or the top of a particular register, it's called, a particular group of notes that we're able to produce in that particular position in our throat. And so it's reached the end of that. And in order to continue to go higher, something needs to happen inside our throat that allows us to go on, but without having to push and strain our voice, because that is going to be detrimental to your voice. You just can't sustain that. And not only that, but you will also cut out a lot of high notes that you could probably have if you were able to sing them correctly, that you won't be able to reach if you just push your voice up hoping to hit those high notes. The best analogy I can think of is when you drive a manual car and you're driving in one gear, and then as the car gets progressively faster, you need to shift to higher and higher gears until you're on the freeway, you're in your fifth gear or how many gears your car has. You could not possibly be driving that fast in first gear. It would just be too much for the engine. It couldn't take it. But then you have to adjust by shifting to higher gears. And this is similar to what happens here. Your voice can go only so far in your lowest register, and then at some point something has to happen in order for the voice to continue to sing higher notes. There are two main registers in our vocal range. The first one is called chest voice. This is the voice that we're most familiar with because it's the register that we speak in. So this is the register I'm using right now to talk to you. It's relatively low, and so it has a certain limitation, but we're all familiar with it because this is what we speak in. So this is why most people, when they start singing, they're comfortable singing lower, and it becomes a little uncomfortable and unfamiliar when they go a little bit higher. The second register is called head register, and this starts pretty much after you've reached those higher, a little uncomfortable notes that make you want to push your voice in order to sing them. So once you're transitioning, so if you are trained, vocally trained, then you're able to transition from your lower notes to the higher notes, so from your chest to your head voice, in a way that's seamless, so that what you hear is one continuum of sound that doesn't really change from low to high. When you hear a trained singers, they're able to go from low to high, maintaining the same tone quality, the same power and strength. So to your ear, it sounds like they're just forcing their voice up, but what they're doing is they're transitioning from chest to head voice. And we're going to see in a little bit how that's done. So what happens when we transition from chest to head? Think about a guitar strings. If you have a guitar string and you want it to play a higher note, what do? You turn the peg so that you stretch out the string more and more, and as you do that, the sound that the string produces is higher and higher. Okay? So transitioning from chest to head means that the muscles, your vocal muscles, work together to change slightly their positions in order to allow your vocal cords to be stretched out just like a guitar string in a healthy way, in a way that is not bad for your vocal cords. And so as they get stretched out, they produce higher and higher sounds. But in order to do that, a certain position inside has to shift. And when you learn to do it, you realize what that is. It's hard for me to explain in words because it all happens internally. But when you do it correctly, you definitely feel that when you sing in your chest, you're singing in a certain way. When you sing in your head, you're singing in a different way. And the skill that you have to develop as a singer is to transition from one to the other and back without any noticeable change in your sound. Okay, so the big question is how? How do you do that? Well, this is one of those things that make vocal technique a little bit complicated because it takes time and it takes knowing that you're doing it correctly in order to learn how to do it. So here I can just give you some general points that are essential for you to learn to do that. But this is something that may take some time depending on where you're at with your singing, with your voice. Some people do it automatically. I've met very few, especially among men, I must say. I'm sorry guys, but this process is harder for guys than for women. Women use and access their head voice more often, more naturally, even when they speak. Guys usually don't do that. And so it's usually a little bit harder also because guys have thicker vocal cords. Just like an instrument, a thicker string means lower notes and a thinner string means higher notes. So the same is for the vocal cords. Women have thinner vocal cords that are more flexible, and so it's easier in general for women to learn this process. Whereas guys, it's a little bit harder, especially if you're like a bass and you have very thick vocal cords. You can still learn it, but it's usually a little bit harder and it takes a little bit longer to do. Anyway, how do we do this? So when you sing like an arpeggio, like and then you go higher, so you reach a point, as I said earlier, where you feel like unless you push, you're not going to be able to produce those high sounds. They will sound more and more harsh and edgy and pushed because that's what you're doing. You are pushing. Now, what you need to do instead is the exact opposite of what comes natural. So, what comes natural is you push and you sing louder. So you have to do the exact opposite. Relax the throat and sing softer. So in the beginning, it will sound something like this. It will be a definite shift from your normal sound. It will sound maybe a little bit breathy, a little bit weak up there. But don't worry, this is just a phase. The number one top priority for you in learning how to transition to your head voice is relaxation. You have to get out of the habit of pushing and straining your voice as you approach the higher notes. So, if you do this kind of exercise, as you approach those notes, relax and sing softer. Oh, oh. In the beginning, it will sound and probably be, honestly, like falsetto. Falsetto is this way of singing, when you're singing a note that is not really a full sound. Don't worry about that. That's actually a step forward and not backward. It's a step forward because you are more relaxed. Okay? As you learn this process of going from chest to head and then back into your chest, so as you do this, gradually these muscles will learn to go from one to the other and back in a smooth, harmonious way. Basically, these muscles have to learn to coordinate with one another in order to make this transition smooth. Then gradually, as you go up there, open your mouth, relax more and more. You'll notice that over time, those high notes that sounded so thin and weak will begin to be a little bit stronger, a little bit louder, but you're not trying to make them stronger and louder. You're just relaxing. That's the difference. You're not pushing to make them louder. You're opening and relaxing, and gradually they will become louder and stronger by themselves, basically, just because you are relaxing and opening. And that's what you want. You want to access those notes with relaxation. And gradually the sound will come back. It will become bigger again. It will become stronger again. And, after some time, like I said, depending where you're at when you start this process, it may take longer or less time. It took me a long time to learn it, honestly. Then gradually, the sound up there will become stronger and stronger until there will be no difference in sound between your low and your high notes. And you'll be able to go up there and have a very strong and loud voice, but without tension. So that's your goal, okay? Trying to go higher in any other way than this is going to ruin your voice over time. You may think you're getting away with it, but the world is full of singers who had to stop singing because they strained and forced their voice and they ruined it. It may take maybe a year, 2 years, maybe 10 years, I don't know. But I don't know about you, I would like my voice to last until the last day of my life if I can. And so I take good care of it. I do what I can to sing correctly, and I suggest you do the same. So this was a long video with a lot of explanation, but I felt like it was good to put out a good explanation, or as best as I could, to explain this process, why we talk about these two registers, what they are, why are they important, and then how can we work on our voices to learn to make these transitions. So I hope this was helpful. And as always, please, if you found the video helpful, feel free to share with others, and also consider giving it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel for more videos. Thank you so much for watching. It was nice to be here with you today, and I wish you a wonderful week. Bye.